Of urban renewal?
Urban renewal.
Yeah. You're the vice.
Right.
Okay. Sorry, I was just doing what, do you wanna take over meeting them?
Do I even know the date?
Brandon, does she have,
I don't think I have any.
no, I appreciate it. I didn't know.
Okay, are there any additions or deletions from the agenda?
No.
Public hearing, urban renewal district budget for fiscal year 2023 to 2024. Brendan, am I good to open the public hearing?
Yes.
Okay. So public hearing is open.
You know the order from,
Okay. Does anybody need to abstain from this public hearing?
Do we have to declare conflicts of interest? Or no, potential? 'Cause
Not if you own a home here, because remember, all of our homes are outside of the urban renewal.
Mine's not,
Oh, it's not even?
but I think we just declare potential conflicts because, so I'll declare a potential conflict because my house resides inside of the urban renewal boundary.
So I'm going to read for the public hearing, possible uses of state shared revenues. The purpose of this hearing is to receive public input on possible uses of state shared revenues, which are comprised of state taxes from gas, cigarettes, and liquor sales, and other shared revenues. Does anybody have any comments from the audience?
That's for the city budget. The urban renewal is simply the comments on the budget itself.
Then where, I don't have any documents on there.
mm-mm.
Okay.
There was another one.
Oh, see, I didn't print out the email, that's where I was. I knew I'd seen it and read it, I just didn't print out the email because I thought it was in the packet.
Brandon, am I able?
Sure.
Kayla found a copy. You have this?
Okay. So resolution number 2023-02. Adoption of fiscal year 2023 to 2024 budget, making appropriations and declaring the tax increment. The Board of Directors of the Lafayette Urban Renewal Agency, the URA, sat for the transaction of URA business on June 8th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers at City Hall and considered and approved the following resolution. Now therefore be it resolved. Why would I be reading this, Brandon, if we're ordering for it to go in place?
It's part of the public hearing. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. One, that the Board of Directors of the Lafayette Urban Renewal Agency hereby adopts the budget for fiscal year 2023 to 2024 in the amount of $17,624 now on file at City Hall. Two, that the amounts for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023, and for the purposes shown below are hereby appropriated as follows. Urban Renewal District Materials and Service, $1,100. Total appropriations, $1,100. Three, the Board of Directors of the Lafayette Urban Renewal Agency hereby certifies to the county assessor a request for the Lafayette Urban Renewal District Plan area for the maximum amount of revenue that may be raised by dividing taxes under Section 1C, Article 4 of the Oregon Constitution of ORS Chapter 457. Any comments from the public?
Yes. Travis Johnson, 1002 Market Street, resident since 72. Thank you, everybody, for your work on this. It's so exciting. The best days are yet to come for this town and looking forward to it. Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Howdy, Greg Goulart, PO Box 1077. I don't know why you always give your address, and you know, just go to the PO Box. In any case, I don't want people knocking on my door. Send me a letter. So we're looking at 17K more or less, and that's it. It's frozen in time. Is that right? Is that how that works over the next 30 years? That's all we're gonna get is 17K?
That's the first year. Next year, we'll get.
It's gonna go up 3% each year
So
or
like-
whatever the
It's like a
normal.
little triangle, that's 17. Then next year it'll be this big of a triangle and over 30 years.
Right, that's not how I read it, but okay, good, because it says 17.6 over the years. It doesn't say it's gonna be increased over the years, but I'm as excited as Travis. I haven't been here as long as he has, but I'm looking forward to it. You know, I think the urban renewal district's a great thing. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public comments? Okay, I'm gonna close the public hearing. And then we are good to begin our deliberations on. All right.
Yeah.
Any comments from the counselors? Or from Brendan, do you wanna speak?
No, I think it's been laid out well. It's like I echo the comments. It's an exciting time for everybody a part of this. So hopefully in the next couple of years, we'll start seeing some good work being done. I'm excited.
I just want to make a statement for those watching or listening that, it seemed like we didn't know what we were talking about or looking for. It's not that we hadn't read this yet. It's that it was just not printed in our packet, but we did get it digitally and did read through it. But other than that,
Brendan, do we need to hold a second public hearing on this, or are we good to vote?
Well, the vote will come at the action item section. You have to have a public hearing first for the 23-24 budget.
Okay, so we'll handle this during the council meeting. Okay.
so we don't close it, we just recess it, or what do we do?
We don't pass it in this meeting.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I just passed that. I'm looking at the state shed revenues, my mistake, yes.
Okay, all in favor of adopting resolution number 2023-02?
Hi.
I,
All opposed? All right, passes unanimously.
Close the meeting now and.
And then, close the meeting now.
Next time, my cheat sheet back from you.
Yep. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm afraid. We sit together.
So. Or the meeting's closed? Nope. Okay.
Oh, I guess, do I have to say, do I move to adjourn?
I move
Okay,
to-
I move to adjourn. One second.
for a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it's closed.
Okay. Now I will call to order the meeting of the Lafayette City Council at 6:39. So call to order, please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call for this meeting, Mayor Malcolmson present, Councillor Carswell.
Here.
Councillor Dreven.
Here.
Councillor Gilligan is excused, Councillor Johnson. Councillor Paulson. Councillor Shaw.
Here.
Okay. Okay, we are now coming to a time of citizen input on non-agenda items. For anyone here wishing to give input regarding the city budget, which is also the water rate increase discussion, that is an agenda item. And so that is saved for another time. But this is a time that citizens are welcome to come up, state your name and address or PO box for the record. And feel free to share any concerns or thoughts or whatnot. So is there any citizen input? Going once, going twice. Okay, yeah.
That's specifically just on the water.
No, this is everything but the water. So the,
Oh, okay.
right now is the time, sorry, right now is the time, for anything that's not on the agenda. So like, hey, I wanted to bring to council's attention for the first time, blah, blah, blah.
Squirrels are in your neighborhood, blah, blah, blah.
Or, hey, I would like to propose that City Hall recognizes, or the city of Lafayette recognizes something for May.
Sure.
Or, yeah,
Yeah, if I can have a minute.
yeah,
Cool. My name is Amon. I'm actually from City Center Markets. So we're actually gonna be coming into your guys' town. We're actually in the process of acquiring People's Market. So we will be taking over, I wanna say, hopefully in the next couple weeks. The reason actually, so this is my sister Rajwinder and it's my mom Ranjit. So we have a few locations up and down 99. And so our next one that we're gonna be doing is here. So we actually are here because there is a step in the OLCC process where you guys have to sign off for the license. So that's pretty much what we're here for, and also, you know, to meet everybody, and we're excited to come to Lafayette. And the People's Market, there's gonna be a kind of a big change, so it's gonna go into full remodel. So it's an exciting adventure for us too, to grow. And if anybody has any questions or concerns, we obviously want to help answer those too. But yeah,
Is the paint changing?
yeah.
They go to like a yellow or pink?
No. Normally we run like it's called Fox Gray, and it's and like a black.
yeah.
So modern. Yeah.
You guys, it's the same one that's in Dundee?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's like, that name sounds. familiar.
Some folks know my dad also, he's not here, his name's Sam. But yeah, I mean, we're just excited, so.
Welcome
Thank
to
you.
Lafayette as, you know, not residents, but as business. To me, that's the, you know,
Yeah.
same thing. So I appreciate you guys showing. This is Brandon Dross, our city administrator, if you haven't met with him yet, and he will help you through all the steps for the OLCC.
For sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, that sounds
Welcome
good.
to town.
Thank you.
I'll speak now then too. Travis Johnson, 1002 Market Street. I just want to say thank you for coming tonight to introduce yourselves and continuing a very long tradition of a grocery store in the center of our town. I shopped that store as a child, and I'm sure the fire chief has gotten, there's many stories of Byron Totten, who was the fire chief that owned that store, showing up, he was a meat cutter, showing up to the fire wearing his meat cutter's apron. So it's a long tradition of grocers, and welcome to our town. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Brandon, did you pass this to me or?
Everybody, because I'm gonna add that to the
Okay.
agenda.
Okay,
Calvin Forrester, 57 Market Street. If this is in regards to the budget?
yeah,
Anybody?
no, this is everything but the budget.
Okay,
Sorry.
well, the road we live on, I'm
Uh-huh.
not sure if this is appropriate for this meeting or not, but it's a dirt road.
Uh-huh.
It's in the city limits.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of gravel on it. It gets very muddy,
Mhm.
very messy. And it's right there, but next to the park. And there's nothing been done to that road to improve it at all, and it's in the city limits, and it's like one of the only roads that's still gravel. And
That's not water, right?
At
That's,
the top of Jefferson, straight up Jefferson Street.
no, it's right here on South Market, right next to the park there on Park
On the
Avenue.
other side of the, you
Park
go to
Avenue,
Terry Park,
Oh, yes.
on this side of Terry Park.
Okay.
It's all gravel.
okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it gets pretty messy when the leaves come down.
is that where the peacocks were for a while? That we kept finding
further
out.
down. It's
But that's why you kind of go in, like, there's duplexes, right,
No.
as you go into.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and then,
That's park.
okay,
And then that
yeah, and then turn
yeah,
into market.
onto Market.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
and then I put in a request because the trees were dead there, and
Mhm.
the city approved it. And then all of a sudden the city reneged and says, no, you got to take those trees down, even though they're potentially dangerous to the next to the road there. And I was confused on that one.
Mhm.
And then I've also asked the city, where do I tie into my drain line, my black water, my sewage line? nobody knows where my line is, where I tie in. For ours, also, as far as I know, it could be just going across the road there with an easement to the neighbor, and it could be just going down open drain, because there's something that's just open there that's not, smells like it could be an open sewage line, but just wanted to address that.
Brandon, the things that he just addressed, are you aware of any of these?
No, I'm gonna
Okay,
write
you
them down so I can
Okay,
follow up with you.
not that I'm not passing the buck, I'm just
Sure.
passing it streamlined to him, but I do know that we just started addressing the part of Water Street that's not paved, so I didn't know that yours
And then the
wasn't.
market also.
Yeah, well, I didn't know about so it's an easy segue to add that into
Yeah.
the,
And
at least, we're just trying to solidify all of our street improvement needs and make sure everything is listed.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate knowing that. I
okay, and then I was
didn't know that.
disappointed because the trees were on the city responsibility, and then there was a renege of the approval, which confused me because the city worker had come down and said no. And I was confused and nobody got.
Was that this year or last year?
That was last year.
Okay. So I don't know if you've
Probably.
met Brandon, he's our new city administrator, so unfortunately, my apologies, there will be a little bit of catch up for him as he discussed things with you. And it's not that he doesn't remember last year, it's just, but I fully trust that Brandon will get in touch with you.
I'll give you my call. I'll come over here in a second.
But thank you. Any other citizen input on non-agenda items? Okay, additions to and or deletions from the agenda. Brandon, are you wanting to add their liquor license to tonight's meeting?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay.
Yesterday, I think you had come by.
Yeah.
The day before, and I wanted to, it was one of those things I wanted to review and then speak with the state first. So I was gonna see if we could add that on the agenda, and that is just formal approval.
Okay.
It's just more of the city recognizing that there's a possibility of this,
Mhm.
and it just kind of helps with the approval process.
Is,
So we'll do 10 GHI, and I.
okay.
Think we can get down.
Well, we're not done yet. Okay. Any other additions or deletions? My suggestion, because of how long this meeting is to move the marijuana discussion to next council meeting. Is anyone opposed to that?
That's 11C.
Yeah, sorry, 11C. Brandon, are you okay if we move that to an upcoming meeting since it was just a proactive look at it? Okay. Okay, any other additions or deletions? Okay, report from Lafayette Fire Department. Brandon's correct, our sheriff is involved in something and will not be making it tonight.
Correct.
Okay.
We're all supposed to get an update from the sheriff's office on the drone items at Meadowbrook, but I do not see the representative
Okay.
here. So
Okay, if he stops in, I will backtrack to that. So I guess just if there are any questions that you guys have for the sheriff's, oh, sorry, I skipped you. I thought you were just getting ready for after. I was like, wow, he knows that she's not, anyway. Okay, back up to 6. Report from Lafayette Fire Department.
Good evening. So this last spring has been pretty busy for Lafayette. We had a spring academy, an EMR course, and several other classes that we put on or been a part of. We had 2 students that graduated from the spring academy, and then we have 2 more that are working on finishing a few classes to be completely done with that. Let's see. We had 3 students that have completed the EMR course, 1 more that's going through it. He should be done by June 15th. It's an accelerated course. And then we had one firefighter that completed his EMT course, so he's signed off and good to go as an EMT now. Saturday, this last Saturday, the 3rd, we hosted the field day portion of our wildland portion of the academy up at the watershed. We had about 37 students in attendance, so there was a lot of people up there, but we went through and got a lot of good training done as well. So, and then on the 4th, this last Sunday, we had our advanced wildland firefighter class at the station over there, and again, we had 36 students. For the month, we've had 45 calls with 17 volunteers and approximately 8 nights that we had somebody staying at the station, staffing the station. And lastly, I just wanted to say thank you guys for being prepared and being able to get through the IEGA that we did with McMinnville. However, I met with them today, and as of now, we're going to put the ambulance coming out here on hold. They just formed a district, I'm sure you guys know. And so because they formed the district is going to enter into the IGA with us as opposed to the city. So I guess they decided it didn't make much sense for the city to start and then the district take over. So with that though, we're going to let the district kind of get up and on its feet before we make any changes, drastic changes with them as they're starting to form. So.
Okay. So the door's still open on our end. We're just pausing and letting them.
Yes, and at which point we'll have to go through and redo the whole IGA and everything with the district as opposed to the city.
I think when we started working the IGA, there wasn't much talk about, I mean, I'm sure internally there was talk about the fire district, but I think the fire district the public side of it really kind of came out towards the end of working with the IGA. So it just the timeline didn't work out.
Yep.
So
Okay.
With that, if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to call.
you got some great news I think you wanted to share too.
Your grant.
Yes, sorry. We
I don't
also,
want to stop like I don't want to do the spotlight. So
we also received the grant through OSFM for a seasonal firefighter. The hope is that we can hire one full-time seasonal firefighter and then probably a part-time, and also fund some of our volunteers to come in and work for us as well. So
Wonderful. I saw that come through this last week. I was like, yes.
it's $35,000. We originally were, when we came to the budget committee, we thought 20,000 would be appropriate, but us and Carlton
Yes.
both got 35,000. So
Let's
it'll
have,
be good.
we both must share a really good chief then.
yeah, no, there's actually a lot of departments that receive this grant.
Yeah.
It's really good. The OSFM has, been able to provide this grant for us, especially a lot of small departments. It's hard for us to have anybody, especially during the summer when we have the busiest time with wildland fires. So that's kind of what this is designed for. So
Awesome. And I just want to, well, first, whoever's doing your social media, please let them know. I've had lots of feedback from people enjoying just a glimpse at, the behind the scenes of the department and all that you guys are doing. So please let them know that they are being, someone is reading. And also just my appreciation to the fire department for all the community engagement. I know you guys are gonna be flipping a lot of pancakes in the next few weeks between 4th of July and the
yes.
graduation. So I just appreciate that.
Yep. So
We've got a burn ban in effect, close or not yet?
not yet. So on June 15th, the backyard burning gets shut down for the year. There has not been a talk of a complete burn ban. We had one the other day when it was super hot and they were expecting some high winds, but at this point it's just a day-to-day basis. There's no burn ban in effect for right now.
Okay.
Awesome. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now on to number 7. So I was mentioning the sheriff was called away and there is no verbal report tonight, but we were hoping on a report for the drone program that they're doing. So if her other sheriff does show up, we will pause the meeting and go back up to 7. With that, is there any statements anyone needs to make about the report that came through? Okay. On to Number 8, approval of May minutes. I just have a few notes that some of the city staff that was present that wasn't listed on there. I know Bill was here last month, our attorney. Greg was here too, correct? Brandon, wasn't Greg?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, I thought that was him. So they weren't listed.
If approved, we can approve the revisions.
Mm-hmm.
Was clerical. It's on
Yeah.
Section 9. Towards the end of the paragraph, you have move. It's word twice.
Move. Because Counselor Johnson really wanted to move.
Thank you.
So, okay. I would like to have added into number 11 that there was a directive given, it's under the short-term rentals, that council has asked for a survey to go out or some kind of citizen input on short-term rentals. And then one last thing was Counselor Gilligan's report, if I was mayor contest, was his statement, I believe, was about the paper garden. And that we had winners from paper garden. So. Other than that, any other changes needed or someone wants to, they're small changes, so I'm comfortable of approval as.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay.
It's not here.
Okay, so looking for,
To approve the minutes with noted changes.
okay,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? Passes. Okay. Moving on to public hearing. We have a couple public hearings. Our first public hearing is going to be the possible use of the state shared revenues, and then our second public hearing will be the city of Lafayette budget. So, I am opening the public hearing for possible use of state shared revenues. The purpose of this hearing is to receive public input on possible uses of state shared revenues, which are comprised of state taxes and gas, cigarette, liquor sales, and other shared revenues. Is there any conflict of interest? Okay. Is there any public testimony?
Greg Goulart, P O Box 1077. Is the intent to, is a general consensus to move it over to the general fund and just work from it from there? Is that what you guys are leaning towards? Or are you looking for specific items that these monies, what is it, $500,000?
No, $62,000.
Yeah, it's only 62K. Okay. I think it was one of the other ones that's, maybe that was a grant. I like Mr. Forrester's idea over here to pave some of these roads that are still gravel down here. So, I know we're talking about, I saw something in the agenda about paving some other roads, but that should be considered as well. I mean, we should solidify Lafayette with paved roads. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public testimony? Okay, then I will close this public hearing, right? Because there's no action item for this.
Right, there'll be 10A and 10B will be the action items after the public hearings.
Okay. So public hearing closed. We will now move on to our, the next public hearing. This is I'm opening the public hearing for the City of Lafayette budget fiscal year 2024. Open that. The purpose of this hearing is to receive input on the approved budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023. If you would like to provide input to the council about the proposed water increases, now is the time. It will not be the last chance to provide input. Council will take formal action on the proposed rate increase at the council meeting on July 13th. Is there any conflict of interest for council on this? Okay. Is there any public testimony? Okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
there is.
Okay. Well, now is the time. So if you have testimony, I'd ask you to please step up, state your name and.
We're looking at, like, my name's Lance, but I've been here for about 9 years.
Mhm.
You don't need my address.
I would like it, or I'd like your full
It's on
name.
Jackson Street.
Okay,
You
can I have
know
your
where
full
I live.
name? Can I have?
Lance
your-
Gilligan.
Thank you.
This is like a 42% increase at my house, correct?
I don't know your bill, but I'm assuming,
About 42% for
Okay.
most of us, I believe.
yes, it is for me.
I guess my problem is, or it's not a problem, my question is, what are you guys gonna do to mitigate this so it doesn't happen again in 2 years or 3 years? This is a debit problem that was basically incurred by a different city administrator
Mhm.
and a different council.
Mhm.
Screwed up, plain and simple. So what is this council going to do to make sure people aren't paying $300 a month for water by 2027 or 2028?
So to make sure I understand, you want to know what we're going to do so that we don't find ourselves in this situation again where we're saying, oh, we have a debt and we need to raise it.
Yeah.
Okay. I
And
can't
I
speak
think that's
for,
something you guys
no.
need to take into consideration while you're doing this budget. You know, there are a lot of folks in this town that this is gonna hurt real bad.
it is going to hurt. It is. I know it's going to hurt. I know I cannot speak for other counselors. I know for me that I don't like that we are in this position. I think that one of the ways that the testament for me is that I am not sweeping it under the rug. I am not saying, okay, I know this is gonna hurt, so we're just gonna put the debt aside and let that debt snowball and snowball and snowball, and it's gonna become another council's problem. It's gonna become another administrator's problem. And we're gonna be paying more and more and more and more on debt until we can't recuperate. I think that my experience so far with this council has been that every counselor's discussion on this upcoming rate increase has been trying to get to the bottom of why are we in the position that we're in? How do we become more clear with residents on what we are and aren't voting on as residents? And looking ahead and proactively. The first time that the water rate analyst came back, it didn't have the debt included in it. And one of our counselors was very quick to say, hey, we're not doing this without true numbers. And I think that's a testament to show that this council really does care about putting us in the correct position. I think for me, the only reason I'm in support of it is because it's being done in the correct way with all the numbers in front of us as a council and the debt in front of us. And that we do need to be more responsible as a town
Well, and
and communicative.
it's not the town. These people-
No, I mean,
these
I
people
said-
here
sorry.
make a mistake.
I didn't make the mistake.
Right,
No,
but you got a
I
council
meant,
that
sorry,
did
when
not
I said
hold-
the town, I meant us as Lafayette, you know, from here over. Us as a town, so as us as, you know, the city. That I can't promise things that I don't see in front of me, but I can promise that I'm not gonna just go along with things because that's what's being fed to me. I will question things, I will ask things, and I will share, as I have been, as transparent as possible with my community of what's going on. I started as soon as I got these huge numbers in front of my face as a brand new mayor. Or, you know, right or wrong of who created it, whether it was voted on by the people, by old councils. For whatever reason, I had some big shocking numbers put in front of my face just 1 month in. And I immediately shared that as much as I could with people. And I will continue to do that, even if it's hard information.
I just think you guys need to look hard at the budget, because if you have half of this community that's on a fixed income or is not working at all or whatever, and they get a 42% increase in their water bill, that's a tough deal.
Oh, it is.
I mean, I'll handle it, but it's a tough deal for a lot of people.
Yes.
Tough deal for my neighbors.
Can I speak to something?
Yes.
So everything you said is spot on. Right?
Yeah.
And I feel the same way. What we're doing, so we haven't had a water rate study for 10, 15 years. We've now ordered a sewer rate study so that we could get caught up on that. The water rate study, this water rate increase, it should cover all of the debt that we have currently. So the council, before taking on more debt, and there's a limit in the city, if we do a project of $1 million or more, it has to go to the voters, right? So the citizens can come to the council and hold them accountable, whatever council that is in the future, and say, how do you show us this isn't gonna work. But by being on top of those water rate studies, and we can't just do one water rate study now and say it'll last 10, 15 years.
So why you got into this problem?
Exactly. So the council probably needs to set up some policies that, hey, we're gonna, consider doing a water rate study every 4 to 6 years, whatever, makes sense. And so that we stay on top of this, but.
I thought we discussed that and it was gonna be about every 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the
Every 3
fact that there weren't rate increases. And the issue with the tie-in with McMinnville and the debt associated with it was a large part of that.
Exactly. So, and Brandon, I know you said it's not a for sure thing, but you said you're gonna look at if we could restructure the debt. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
I don't know if those discussions have been started yet, but, hopefully, it's a one and done sort of thing that says we need to make up for what we lost, and because I don't support.
And I think it can be a one and done thing,
Yep.
but
And that's
it's
what.
not gonna be a one and done thing if we build 640 more houses across from the ones that are already being built. You know what I mean? So you guys have to take all that into consideration. Do we have that type of manpower? Do we have that kind of infrastructure? Or are we gonna put ourselves in debt again to where we have to raise rates on something again? So that's up to you guys. So, I like what you said, because our last minute city administrator spoon fed you guys every damn thing he wanted to, and nobody ever asked a question. A lot of counselors that like this guy, and I'm hoping he does a hell of a lot better than the last guy did, because he was worthless. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And I've been in this area. I have the property on Market and lived up on Dunaway, still do. We have a farm up there since 1967. The city water goes through our property. So we're grandfathered in, not having to pay, up to a certain amount of water, past that. We pay past that, but we never utilize it. And I guess my question is, I come blinded. I just got the little postcard saying you're gonna have a meeting. I didn't do my due diligence. Is there I'm here in regards to the rate increase. And I think I only pay 107 or something. I know the water treatment is a big expense on that, but the rate increase, is that based upon what is needed because we're lacking water from the reservoirs up there on Red Hill the increase in. Here you go, sir. Oh, right here. Okay.
I don't expect you to sit there and read all that stuff.
And it's great that Lafayette's increasing their urban growth development and all the extra properties that have come in. Are the new buildings, are they paying for the additional need of more water? I know, because there's a process, there's something's going on. Blanco's property, they have to, the city has to go through Blanco's property to get to the reservoirs and the wells. And are the people that the increase with the tax revenue
Mhm.
coming in with all the extra homes coming in? Are
Are
they,
they paying their fair share?
yeah, for example, I'm building a pole barn
Uh-huh.
in Yamhill County.
Okay.
Not in the city limits. The county wanted to charge me $1,800 just for a bond, a school bond, and I was just gonna build a pole barn, and it was $1,800, and I have nothing to do with the school bond, and I'm being penalized for that.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with this, but I'm wondering.
Are
the-
we as current residents paying more now, right now, or being, this increase
The
because
burden.
of the new houses being built?
The burden, the water, the water that can't sustain the growth. And are those that are getting the permits, the subdivisions, all those, are they gonna be paying for that rather than penalizing, if that's the right word, those who already have, are paying a high cost for the water and sewage on that?
Brandon, is it my understanding that before these new subdivision went in, that I'm gonna mess up the initial SDCs,
Yes.
that those were evaluated and brought up to par to make sure that that was done for them to make that all new development is paying?
It's about 5.5%.
Correct. And coming up the next few months, we'll be discussing the sewer SDCs.
Mhm,
Because those are the ones that were told to be waited on the next council and next administrator.
mhm.
But yes, they pay into the infrastructure. To a percentage based on development costs and whatnot. So any new development comes in the state of Oregon, they have system development charges. What you take out of the system, you have to put back in for future planned development and growth. So they pay their fair share based on that recent SDC increase.
Okay, so
We do
the
have
bottom
water
line is
part.
that new construction, everything in contractors, they have to pay a fee percentage on whatever their project is, okay? And that money goes into a particular fund such as water and roads and things like that. And it's designed to not impact you.
Right.
It's to maintain our current systems, make sure that they are robust enough to take care of additional loads and everybody's happy.
Mhm.
So the intent is to ensure, okay, that we're all paying for the right things coming out of the right buckets. And that was part of the problem.
So part of where we are, I know you're saying I got this flyer. I didn't do my due diligence to read all this stuff, and we knew,
It was short
Sorry.
notice too.
Yeah, well-
For me.
yeah. And there's, hoops we had to jump and get in order before we could even send out an official notice, although unofficially, I can't speak on behalf of the counselors, but I've had conversations since February with people, knowing just that it was coming. That some of what we're in debt for is our debt for things, but we're also, our water rates were not accurate. And that's where the analysts came in. And so the way I buffered it with my husband when I came home, said, "Hey, honey, aren't you glad I'm the mayor? Because this is what we're, about to share." Was I look at it as we kind of over the last few years got a coupon that we weren't paying what we should have been paying. And so not only are we now having to make up that difference, your council saying, we're not going to just Band-Aid it. Let's get to the bottom of this and this is going to hurt. But there's no point in a Band-Aid here when over here we're going to be hemorrhaging and we're just putting it off another year. But it is not because we're trying to fund the new build.
So this is to address the debt the city has. That was taken on to address the water shortages we had before that was built out. Right, so it maybe enabled it, but yeah, we needed that water intertie regardless of if we were building out more homes or not. But now,
because we have it.
but now we've got more homes to kind of split the cost and pay that debt.
And is the water increase, is that just for the water need deficit, or is it the overall deficit in the budget?
Well, the water rates are made up of a number of different elements. Okay, one is, the cost to produce the water. Okay, you've got, if it was a new well, you would have a drilling expense, and that's got to come from somewhere. Right. But you've got maintenance costs. You have staffing to test the water. You've got all kinds of different ancillary expenses that go into the water rate. And then you've got, capital improvements that said, okay, we've got only a limited life on this element, okay? And it's gonna cost $100,000, okay? So you don't wait 2 years when it goes kaput, and then come back and raise the rates because we didn't plan for that $100,000 expense. So we have to look at what it's gonna cost to maintain systems out a few years. And at the same time, make sure that we're staying up with, the cost of living, CPI, okay, consumer price index. And that's where rates, are measured against,
Counselor Shaw, can I stop you for 1 second? Not that information isn't spot on of what you're saying. I think you're asking, is the water rate increase going to pay deficits in other parts of the budget? And the water fund is its own budget. It's its own fund.
Okay, that's mandated by the state.
Yeah, every city, our water has to stand alone. It has to function. It has to serve, like what comes in is, that money is for the water budget. When I look at all the spreadsheets for the overall budget in general, there's things like even personnel for public works is broken down into percentages because some of it, they work on the water and that comes out of the water fund. Their pay to work on city improvements of the park, for instance, like working on vandalism issues, that doesn't come out of their pay for the water.
Yeah.
Water, this increase is solely to pay for our water fund.
Maintenance
water
and
needs.
improvement. Basically.
Yeah, so, but everything, so anything and everything to do with the water and only everything and anything to do with the water, not to pay for, I don't know,
Right.
something else that's, the fire department is looking at a new vehicle needed. That comes out of a different fund.
Okay. And then what's the percentage of increase? The rate?
It's kind of a rate restructuring. So the base rate is going up and I think that's about 16%. I could be wrong, don't quote me. But then you get if you're on just the normal meter, you get 3 units of water. The amount you pay for every unit after that is going up.
And what we did was we wanted those that use the water to pay for the water. So somebody that tends to, that $17 a month that was on the postcard, that is somebody who uses just the base amount of water. So you're going to see that your bill is going to go up $17
Which is 79% of the customers in our.
of the family or of the residential customers and stuff. And those, we could have just done a really big base increase. But what people will see is that the usage amount is where you're seeing such a substantial increase because we didn't feel it was fair to just raise it flat across the base when somebody who never goes over that 3 units shouldn't be paying the same amount of an increase as someone like my family who has 3 girls who thinks the bathtub is a swimming pool. And so it was a restructuring. It was, okay, the base needs to go up this amount, but really we're looking at the usage. And that way also, there are some families and some homes that you can't trim your water much more than you already do.
Right.
Or you have some families like me who really we could if we wanted to, that we then have, it's the use we have some control over. I mean, I tried it. I was able to drop mine about $10 a month.
If it's yellow, let it mellow, right?
Okay, we're not gonna go into that right now.
And then real quick on.
Yes.
Is, being ignorant of, city government. It's the city council that arbitrarily based upon information that they have determines the rate increase. It's not something that is voted on
Like
by
the people.
the people.
No. So the budget committee met and the council does make up some of the budget committee. But then there's other people that are appointed by the mayor and council approval to sit there and represent all of us of all it's everyone that's not on council's residents too. So it's made up of all residents. But no, the budget itself is voted on by your council, which I will say that is why
And then
it's important to vote when those ballots come out and know your.
You used the term arbitrary, and in the deliberations, in the assessment of what's going on, you look at a problem, you look at the numbers, say, we've got a problem, okay? So,
I'm not saying just out of,
right,
pulling out of thin air, we're just gonna go
no,
20% or.
No.
we didn't crunch the numbers. We had professionals come in
Yeah.
and do the assessment. do-
And then we sent them back and said, no, do a
Keep
more,
working, keep working, keep working. you
do
know.
more.
And then they come back with their recommendations,
Yeah. Okay.
of how to solve, an outstanding debt, okay?
Sure.
Over a lot of years,
Mhm.
okay? And at the same time, maintain our systems.
Yeah.
So we don't have to do that so often. Now, there's no guarantees, but I think that our approach is to ensure that the water rates and eventually the sewer rates are in line with what it takes to provide, those services to this community. And even to the point where we looked at all the surrounding communities and what they're paying. Okay, and where do we fall? Okay, and we were on the low end for a lot of years. We were the cheapest. Okay, and there was a reason for that. We kept borrowing money from the wrong bucket. Okay, and the state says you can't do that, and unless you put together something that pays it back. Okay, well, where does that come from? So that's the situation that we were in. And we knew it was going to hurt. And we knew that people were not going to be pleased.
Or that it'd be easy to explain.
I think
too.
that people are gratified to know that, people are working, on the council and city hall that are paying attention to stuff, and trying to avoid, huge mistakes in the future.
So
And then is
Yeah.
I know you said something about, we're gonna be voting, public's gonna be voting on the addition to increase the water,
Reservoir?
the reservoir.
No, that's-
no, that was already,
That's already been approved.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all-
that was November in our ballots, in our general
And
election.
that's what it's gonna need, because the water table can't sustain the population here in Lafayette without the. additional-
The reservoir, from my understanding, and I say that because I was, dug into trying to make sure that I understood what really it was for, not just what was being spoon fed to me as a resident. It's not necessarily it's not that we were in a deficit of water. It's, it's not gonna change what we use the Mackinac tie for right now. But to have a second reservoir that we mostly had funded from outside grants, and then the rest of the grant was from our ARP, so it's still grant, but we directed it towards that, was that with the second reservoir, we have enough water to sustain if we have God forbid, a huge fire that we're having to put out, that we're not gonna run our reservoir dry. And also from what has been explained to me, that we can do more upkeep and proactive maintenance on our reservoir without having to go 100% off of the MAC water. Because that water still, per unit is more expensive than our wells and reservoir.
You have lots of memories up there where the reservoirs are, motorcycle rides. And yeah, it was
I do
good
appreciate
luck on that.
that you said, hey, I've got this postcard. I'm not quite sure what this means, but I know it looks like it's hurting and I don't know, I'm gonna go and ask. So I do appreciate
Yeah, and I appreciate the gentleman's concern because we're under the inflation and everything's happened, we're all
Okay.
crunching.
Is there any other public testimony based on it? Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, Greg Goulart, P O Box 1077. The MAC intertie was a needed thing,
Mhm.
and I'm glad we have it. We're paying $1,000 minimum per month, maybe it's $1,100 minimum. Even if we don't use McMinnville's water, we pay $1,000 more or less a month just to be tied in with them. Boom. So if we start drawing on them, then our prices are gonna go up, or the city's costs are gonna go up. The Blancos, I know the Blancos, I'm friends with the Blancos. The city has a deal with them to gravel the easement part of the road. I don't know what other deal they have, if they get free water, I don't know any of the other stuff. But they do have a
Greg,
deal with
sorry.
them. I think I got the same postcard, $17. I'm not sure where you came up with 42% increase, $17 for me.
No, there's
is not-
two prices on there.
Um,
There's. the
Okay, so
per
I
head.
think I'm in the $17 range.
Okay,
If I'm in the 42% range, I'll be here next month. But I think a standard 3% increase year over year is probably applicable and not excessive. And so I just wanted to express that. I don't think I see any major issues with any of the water stuff, so.
thank you. Okay. Last call. Okay. I am going to close this public hearing. So the public hearing on the City of Lafayette budget fiscal year 2024 is closed. So we are now moving on to action items. My apologies to everyone in the audience. We're going to be going through these pretty fast, out of respect to, this is a long meeting. What? That was the second public hearing. Yeah.
Mayor, if I
Yeah.
may, we have, you all have some interviews for judge and
Yes.
attorney starting, probably at about 7:50.
Yes.
So I'd like, Bill cannot be here.
Yes,
So if we can somehow maybe get, the discussion on the Lafayette City Municipal Code. 10E, maybe to bump up either after A or B, if those are moved along fairly quickly, or maybe we can bump E now.
let's just move E up.
Yeah.
Let's just start with E. Okay. And I will also quickly discuss that if we have to, we will be putting a hold on this part of the meeting and moving into executive session at that 7:50 time and then going back to it. Yeah, 10E, second reading of ordinance 644. Let me find that real quick. It's just the fun of when we go out of order.
Sorry.
No. That's why I like the yellow tabs and why I make myself cheat sheets. Okay. So second reading. Yeah. Any opposition of me reading it just by title?
No.
Okay. Is there a cheat sheet for how to do this part, Brandon, or is it just reading it by title?
You're reading it by title similar to last month, just
Okay.
that top summary.
Okay,
And then, there can be discussion on, what was revised.
okay.
And a vote.
Okay, before the city council for the city of Lafayette, Oregon, in the matter of amending the Lafayette Municipal Code to comply with ORS 195.500-.530, ordinance number 644. Bill, is there anything that you need to note to us about the changes that we ask?
Not really, Mayor. The changes that you asked for were incorporated at the time that you took the
Mhm.
first reading.
Yes.
So this is the second reading of the ordinance. I believe the council has been fully briefed and understands what the intent is. The intent is to remove the restrictions that apply to camping on public property, which would be found to be in violation of the recent House bills that go into effect as of July 1. So that's the reason for the council's action. You have, if you do the second reading tonight, your ordinance goes into effect within 30 days. I don't believe, do you have an emergency ordinance? I'm sorry, emergency clause on this? I don't.
When I was speaking with Kevin today, and doing some research, I think since we have it in place, and we're not regulating, we're just changing the fee structure, then I think we should be okay from what I was gathering.
Thank you. That's what I wanted to get clear, that you don't have an emergency clause because your intent is to have this in effect, even though it's going to go, be legally effective on July 8th. In the interim, from July 1 to July 8th, you will not be enforcing.
Okay.
So you'll just be doing the second reading tonight.
Do we need to say that we won't be enforcing?
Nope. So unless you make changes, we should be fine. But if you make
But
changes,
we made all of our all the changes we made as a group.
but if there's any movement to make additional changes, we'd need to go back and do a first. reading.
Yes, okay. Any council? Or I guess, any audience question or comments? Okay. Council motion.
I move to approve ordinance number 644, amending the Lafayette Municipal Code as described in the ordinance and accompanying attachment.
A second.
And then I don't have to reread that or anything, right? I already read it. Okay. Any discussion from council?
We already.
No, I know, but it says deliberation, I guess. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Okay. Thank you, Bill, for your work on that. Brandon, is that all we have Bill for?
For a little bit, yes. At 7:50, we'll do the
Okay.
rest of it. So if
Okay.
you want to move on. to
Okay.
8,
10A. Fiscal year 2023-24 city budget approval resolution number 2023-04.
So,
Yes,
sorry, we're not voting on the water rate change until next month.
Correct.
How does that affect this? I'm not gonna vote for something to say it's gonna take effect before we voted for it.
No, so normally what that process has been, any water rate increase is normally that July bill cycle, so it would be like July 20th. So the budget is approved the final form, and then next month an official water rate resolution will have to be done, but we can't draft that until the budget's approved.
so
Because-
we're approving the budget with those numbers.
Correct.
We can change water rates regardless of the budget.
Yeah, you can, but the budget itself being approved tonight, normally when we do in the history, the water rates are normally approved in that July meeting, because that's when the first fiscal year billing cycle starts is July 20th. So normally when in the past, they've always done the water rates the month after the budget has been approved.
I thought we did it in June as well, effective July.
Okay, I'm
1st.
gonna stop real quick. Remove this is how it normally was and how they did it.
Yeah, but he's got a point. Like, why would we be voting to approve a budget number?
Yeah.
If we're voting to approve numbers next month? Like. I agree that,
So when are the meters read to close out June's billing cycle?
End of June. Unless,
So if July 1, I use a unit of water. If we're not voting for that tonight, people shouldn't have to pay the increase until the next month.
correct. So the July 20th bill, that first cycle is when, if approved, they would start paying that new water rate, that July cycle. So that's only about July 20th.
So we'd be
when that cycle starts.
retroactivating it on July 12th or whenever our meeting is. I just
Correct, and the budget entailed that it 20 days of the month, there's not gonna be any, it's gonna be the former rates, because July 20th is when that cycle normally starts.
So they won't be paying the new amount until July 20th.
Correct, because that's when the first cycle would be for the new water rate in the approval budget.
And that doesn't affect the budget at all.
Nope, we got that in. I had that same question because normally how the water rates normally been approved and they normally start on that July, that first July cycle at the
So-
fiscal years, which is normally July 20th.
So if we approve this budget tonight, but we haven't approved the water rates, and something happens between now and next month, and council says we're not approving these water rates, doesn't that put the budget in a deficit?
We can revise a budget. We could just say that these expenditures are not expected because we're not gonna have the revenues to match. And that's something that the city council is able to do.
Can we ask I don't know, can we do the water tonight or?
Or
Well, we
was there
need
a
a formal
public hearing?
resolution. I mean, I can see if we can get one drafted up real quick from last year's and just put in this year's. But
I
Okay.
don't think we should do that tonight.
Okay,
So this budget has folded in an anticipation of a rate increase.
correct.
So the delay would have no purpose.
Correct. But normally, historically, looking at that, that when water rates do increase, it's normally that July meeting and they're effective normally July 19th or July 20th, depending on that Monday falls when they start doing the new meter reading cycle.
I think we're trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist. You know, if there is a problem, you know, after budget approval or rate of approvals, then there's mechanisms of
To amend
council
them.
to fix it.
Well, my issue with it is I'm essentially already voting on that by voting this budget in.
I'm
That's-
stating my intent next month's vote on the water increase by voting on the
That's my
budget.
issue. But yeah.
Well, I think that, and I would caution people that a budget is your best guess snapshot.
It's still painting a picture to our residents that,
Oh, but that's what a budget is.
no, I'm saying it's painting a picture to our residents that this isn't the last night to make a statement on the water rate increase, because there will be, voting on it next month, that we're going, okay, but we're anticipating our budget, we're anticipating that to pass.
The fact is that the residents just came forward tonight expressing their concerns. We need time to discuss that as a council, so I'm not gonna sit here and vote in favor of a budget that implies this rate increase.
Because that just wiped out,
That just
says, I don't care what you
said.
said.
we move this budget discussion to the water to
We-
after?
What happens
we
is
did it
the,
before July 1st with the budget needs to pass before July 1st. Are we looking at a
Okay.
special meeting then to do both in a week or two? I mean, if this budget didn't pass tonight, that's what we'd be doing,
Yep.
right?
okay,
So, I mean,
well, I guess it's a.
we're putting the cart before the horse
Yeah.
by passing the budget before we have it funded.
Mhm. Yeah. So I guess on the table is to know that if it doesn't get passed tonight, not that it's pushing you to pass it, just be aware we will be that this is a time sensitive thing and we will need to be pulling a special meeting. It shouldn't be a problem. So I guess it comes down to, for you guys, I mean, I totally support and understand that, and I will express that I don't feel comfortable moving forward with it tonight, but it's up to you guys if you motion to move it or not.
It's good for the next city council.
What is the budget
So after
budget
this.
increase on the water
But this takes.
last year?
Here. So this current year, we're expecting 1.265 million, and next year, we're looking at 1.796 million. So $534,000.
Okay, and that folds in the expansion of the development.
It doesn't matter if it's $5 or $500,000, the intent to pass something that we haven't voted on.
Yes, yes, it matters. But $5 or $500,000, the budget is a tool.
Okay.
It's a tool.
Well,
My position is let's just schedule a special meeting at this point, because we're obviously not going to agree on this.
yeah, it's not gonna get
And we
passed,
got a lot of.
And we have a lot to get going on.
so. Okay, so Brandon, do we schedule that now or do you schedule it?
You can, real quick,
Okay.
Bill, is there any issue? Is there anything that I'm missing out on approving a budget before a water rate increase is discussed?
No, I think it's appropriate for the council to actually enact the increase so that that informs the budget.
Budget.
So if your intent is to have a hearing, let's say in 2 weeks, that if you continue the discussion of the budget to a date certain, it's not necessary to be a date certain, but I think it'd be valuable for the public to know tonight which date you choose to have the meeting at. You would then adopt at that meeting, I assume you would adopt the resolution to increase the water rate. Then you would have the vote on the city budget. As long as you take care of that before July 1, you should be fine.
Okay,
And that's completely on me. I was going by historical context, so I'm sorry. I take full responsibility on this.
No biggie. It's something I didn't even catch.
I will be out of town all week next week, except for Monday and
Okay.
Tuesday. And so if we wanted to do something Monday or even this weekend, I think we can make something happen.
I would be available on Tuesday,
I can be available Tuesday,
The 20th.
the
the
13th.
13th,
13th, sorry.
I'm available.
All right,
as long as the majority is available. I mean, I'd like everyone to be there, but,
Jim, it sounds like you might not be.
I don't even know.
Okay.
No. I
But it
mean,
sounds like you wouldn't
if
know
it's in the evening, it's probably.
Okay.
fine.
okay, so Tuesday, the 13th,
6:30.
6:30 works for me.
Okay, I will not be here. Kevin will have to lead that meeting.
That's fine. And that will
If
include,
that's okay.
everything's spelled out. We're just jumping the correct.
13th.
So that meeting will include both finalizing the water rate increase or not
Well, discussing
finalizing,
it,
yeah,
possibly.
yeah, that's sorry. I meant like the final step of that topic and then approving the budget based off of if that passes or not.
Correct. So we do the resolution for the water rate first and then perfect.
Okay,
Yes.
okay,
And that gives us time by doing it early next week. If something comes up and we need another special meeting. We're not
Before
up
July.
against,
yes,
Start calling emergency meetings.
okay. Okay, so moving on.
So we probably want to skip B too, since that's technically a budget item. So we can just
So
do
B
A and
needs to be
B.
on there too.
Right.
Okay, fiscal year 2022-2023 sewer fund budget transfer of 30,000 from capital outlay to material services. Resolution number 202306.
Brandon, is it possible to turn the air conditioner?
Yeah, I'm freezing.
When all the women are saying the cold.
You need to have them sit over here and switch it up.
Oh my gosh, it's.
It's okay, I'll take that over being hot, but,
Oh, hot air is over.
I'm just like.
okay. Brandon? Background?
Yes, so we are good on our capital outlay funds, but material and services this year with a little more than we planned with some of the items we had to get for the wastewater treatment plant. So we were gonna be kind of tight with the $30,000 transfer fund. But I think that should get us through the last part of the month,
Okay,
the last month of the fiscal year.
okay. So. Council, any questions or discussion?
Okay, I move to approve resolution 2023-06, transferring monies within the sewer fund.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Okay,
Brandon, just for the future, can we in the suggested motion include the amount
Okay.
or figure?
I
just wanna-
Gotcha.
okay. Great thing to catch. Approval of $1,100 water meter purchase for 245.
We're
right?
D.
Oh, D, sorry, my arrows have gotten me confused. 2023, 2020 land use planning services contract. Can we even go vote for that without a budget for that year yet?
Bill, it's the COG contract.
Yes, I think you can act on a contract that, then you're going to be finalizing the funding.
Yeah,
for.
that-
Okay,
That's
that's fine. Okay. So Brandon, any further report than what was in the background?
No, just the major thing is $8 increase for senior planner services.
Okay,
Outside of that, everything else is pretty minimal. That was a part of the budget. It's a 4.3% increase. We budgeted a 5% increase.
okay, so it sounds like it's one of those, everything rates going up 4%.
I move to approve the contract with the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments for planning services of fiscal year 2023-24 and authorize the city administrator to execute the agreement.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Okay, now on to, we did D, then we did E already, so F, approval of 1,100 water meters purchased for $245,275 for Consolidated Supply Company pending approval of the recommended budget.
So I think this may fall in line with what our city attorney said. But this also has nothing to do with the water operation
Yeah.
fund. This has money dedicated from SDCs and ARPA.
So we could even motion to approve it, contingent with. Right, can't we motion to approve it?
This is, so we budget, but then the city council
Yeah.
approves the
Yes.
expenditures.
But it sounds like this expenditure is within this year's budget.
Correct.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
no, it's next year's
Next
budget.
year's.
What's up for next year's
Yeah.
budget?
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with the water rates, tied to the water rates. I don't know if that's tricky or not
But we haven't passed that budget, so we don't have that.
When are you
budget.
actually going to be making the purchase
after the fiscal year.
after the fiscal year?
So can this be added to that special meeting too? Or can we do it tonight?
Well, isn't
Pending
this like a
approval.
line item in that
It
budget? We're
is.
not approving the whole budget.
That's right. It's a
Yeah,
line item
So we
within
can
the
do it
budget.
pending
I think
approval.
you can approve this, and as the mayor said, it's going to be contingent upon.
Yes,
Correct.
okay,
Perfect. So a little background into that, we originally looked at $250,000 to include installation. But I think with the proposal that we're bringing to the budget committee and council regarding additional staff, we did decide that we will be doing it throughout next year as an internal project. Our team will be doing it. And we're actually able to shave off about $10,000 in the original proposal to get us under $250,000. So this will be all 1,100 water meters, and at the end of next fiscal year, we would say we're completely changed over.
The entire city.
Yeah, and we'll also have a couple extra too.
Backup, good. Okay, good.
and we're doing it in-house instead of contracting out, okay.
Okay,
Which saves
so
money.
contingent on the budget passing, I move to approve the purchase of 1,100 water meters from Consolidated Supply Company for a total of $275.
Oh, second.
second it.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes.
Give them those numbers.
Executive session.
Okay, so,
Focus on it.
okay, so we're not doing the bid approval for Monroe,
Now that may be a couple of minutes.
okay. Okay,
Oh, you can do H.
H
That's a quick one.
and I, real quick, their license.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, real quick, H, appointment of Stephen Belding to the planning committee with term expiring 2025. Everyone, this is Stephen,
What year?
2025.
Thank you.
Sorry. Behind Greg is Stephen Belding. He, you have all received his application, and I am putting forth to council to appoint him onto the planning commission. I think he will make a great addition to the planning commission and seems to have a heart in general for the overall town and has some experience with serving on committees and commissions.
I move to appoint Stephen Belding to the planning commission for a term ending December 31st, 2025.
All opposed, or sorry, all. All approved?
I,
All opposed? Passes. Welcome on planning commission, Stefan. Is it Stefan or Steven?
Stefan is the formal name, but I go by Steve.
Okay, Steve. Me and or the head of planning commission, one of us will be the other person to fully welcome you and guiding you in the correct direction.
Sounds good.
Thank you for stepping up to serve your town. Okay, I is an added item, which was the approval of a liquor license.
Correct, and as the new owners mentioned, the owner should change, you need to get a new whole OLCC license.
Uh-huh,
And this is formally saying that the city council approves of this.
okay.
What kind of liquor?
It's on premise, so,
Yeah,
you know.
beer and
coolers,
wine.
Beer, wine.
I move to approve the liquor license.
so, sorry,
Yeah.
No,
we're not approving it. We kind of give our
We're-
like thumbs up to the
we're-
LLCC.
We
So
are,
I don't know
yeah,
what the wording is.
we're
but-
approving
our
Accept
consent or
those.
Recommendation. Yeah.
a recommendation.
Receipt and recommendation of the liquor license.
That was put forth us tonight. Okay. Second,
I second
all in favor?
Aye.
I,
All opposed?
You're missing a counselor.
I know.
I was trying to pause it.
Sorry. I didn't realize until I heard the water running, because it sits like right here. All in favor?
Brandon, do you need that one?
The speaker.
Can you zoom from the toilet? Why don't you wash this as well?
We should maybe let him know what we're voting on when it comes out. I think he was.
no, just say, all in favor.
Okay, all in favor? One does not go potty during a vote. Okay, do we need to re-motion it, or do you know what we motioned?
I do.
Okay. All in favor?
I,
All opposed? Passes. Okay, welcome to Lafayette with your liquor. I'm a mama Terry, welcome. Okay. At this time, the Lafayette City Council will now meet in executive session under ORS 192.6602 and E to discuss information about review or approval of programs related to the security or data transmission by whatever means provided. ORS 192.6602A to consider the employment of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent, and C, ORS 192.6602(1)I to review and evaluate the employment-related performance of the chief executive officer of any public body, a public officer, employee, or staff member who does not request an open hearing. All members of the audience are asked to leave the room. No formal decision will be made in the executive session. For those watching the meeting via the YouTube stream, there will be a break in the stream. At the close of the executive session, the council will return to open session and the YouTube live stream restarted. Thank you. Good night.
Sorry, guys. I had to-
No, you're good.
I was holding it for.
You're good. I